Hey guys, hi, welcome back once again. My name is Vaishali, and today I'd like to talk about fear of other people's opinions, also called as FOPO. Now, being a part of the human race and being a social creature to a degree entails that we feel belonged within a certain group, within a certain community. And it is somewhat here that our concept of fitting in and feeling belonged gets skewed, gets distorted. And how does that get distorted? When we laugh at jokes with others which we don't even understand, which we don't even find funny. When we try and give our inputs to try and sound intelligent about a topic that we may know nothing about. When we try and seem to be interested in a conversation that we are actually uninterested in. When some food is presented before us which we truly do not understand or it doesn't seem palatable to us, but we still would end up saying that it was a decent meal or it was a nice meal. When we try to dress like how others dress, when we try and fix something about ourselves surgically, cosmetically, when that actually might not be an absolute requisite in terms of our health, so that we are not considered irrelevant, which in a way is quite obviously seen through the plastic surgery industry. When we buy things that we would not necessarily need or even use, but we do it just because most others are doing it or that's what's expected of us by others. When we try to please most other people to avoid the angst of disagreements, to avoid the discomfort of having a hard, real conversation. When we have difficulty presenting our thoughts and expressing our feelings on a public platform in front of others. And these others can include people who form a part of our inner circle and people who also form a part of our outer circle. People who we call as our family and friends and people who we are acquainted with. And then I was listening to this chat show by Oprah Winfrey in which she said, that even the most important people in the world, right from Beyonce to Barack Obama, have all asked her at some point in time or the other after she interviewed them as to how did it go? What do you think how I performed? Did I do all right? In fact, it even reminded me of the book Open written by Andre Agassi, wherein at one point in time he had mentioned when he was beginning to lose his hair and he would wear a headpiece. And he would be more fixated that the hairpiece did not fall off rather than being focused more on the game. And in my understanding, he was more focused about the image of Andre Agassi, about how he looked, about how people perceived him, that it had started to take a center stage in his head, in his heart, in his emotions, in his thoughts, in his entire psyche. And almost all of us on some conscious and mostly subconscious, unconscious levels are trying to perceive and judge other people's opinions about ourselves, not just through their direct words, but even through their tonality, even through their facial expression, even through their body language. Because on a very primal level, it's very hard for us to feel rejected, for us to feel abandoned. And it is over here that most of us, not deliberately, not intentionally, but quite unintentionally, quite unconsciously, are being hypocrites, not only with others, but even within ourselves. Which is where in this book, The Way to Integrity by Martha Beck, I came across something beautiful and profound, wherein she writes, I'll never forget one wealthy, beautiful celebrity who confided to me after attending yet another glamorous party. I'm exhausted of my own hypocrisy. Which also reminds me of yet another beautiful thought expressed by Anita Moorjani, the author of Dying to Be Me, wherein she had said that I was so afraid of getting abandoned by others, that I kept abandoning myself in order to live the life that others expected me to live. So why do we do this? Why does the opinion of others matter so much in our lives? Why does the opinion of others matter to the core of our existence at times. Because like I earlier mentioned that we are a part of a social species. And so it's quite natural for us to desire that sense of belonging. It is only when we confuse belonging with fitting in that hypocrisy starts to creep in, that self-abandonment starts to take over, that other people's opinions of us seem to matter more than our own opinion of ourselves. Also, if we understand it from our developmental aspect, for the longest time we are the only mammalian species that is most dependent on its caretakers, on the grown-ups around, to take care of us for our very survival. And if our very survival can feel threatened by any sense of abandonment or neglect, we will find ways to fit in. And as Dr. Gabor Mate beautifully puts in, it's when our sense of attachment gets threatened, our authenticity will naturally be compromised, so that we don't get neglected, so that we don't feel that sense of abandonment. And it is exactly where an internal split begins to happen within almost all of us. It is exactly in those moments that hypocrisy on some level starts to seep in, starts to play out. And from the evolutionary standpoint, if we go back in our history, when we were evolving as humans in the wild, in the wilderness, the only way that we survived the wilderness and the wild, the beasts of the wild, was to ensure that we stayed besides and by the tribe, that we did not have a fallout of any kind with the tribe, with the part of the community that formed our tribe. For any kind of a disagreement, if it led to a fallout, if it led to the tribe neglecting us in the wild, it could literally mean our death. And like it or not, in the evolutionary spectrum, we still carry that coding within us. And last but not the least, through the course of our development, our literacy system, our schooling system, every organized institutional system teaches us and trains us to fit in not just physically but even psychologically. And it trains us, it teaches us, it conditions us for at least 20 to 25 years of our lives. And if we consider all of those factors, our developmental factors, from the time we are conceived to our chronological age today, whatever it might be, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 70 years, to our social conditioning, to our educational conditioning, to our parental conditioning, to us being born as helpless, premature infants who can't even run to save themselves after 4 hours or 4 days, to our evolutionary history which still resides in our biology, which also plays a crucial part in our psychology, all combined together makes us fear, or at least if not completely fear, be a little over concerned, over worried, consciously or subconsciously, about other people's opinion of us. For quite naturally, we do not want to be disregarded by others. We do not want to feel that we do not matter in the eyes of others. We do not want to come across as silly or stupid in the eyes of others. We do not want to consider ourselves as an outsider from the group. We do not want to feel neglected, and we do not want to feel abandoned by others. For we wish to be in the well-wishers' wish list of others. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then it's equally important to understand to what degree are we a hypocrite in our own selves, within our own selves. We also need to question how many times do we keep abandoning ourselves so that others don't abandon us. How many times do we keep neglecting our own selves so that we don't feel neglected by others? How many times, in order to be in the well-wish list of others, unconsciously, non-deliberately, we are not wishing well for ourselves? Let's try and reflect on all of those aspects to get an insight as to what degree is the fear of other people's opinion not just running but even dictating our lives and most of our decisions. Let's try and do that for ourselves, and I will see you once again the next week. Till then, stay tuned in. And guys, if you do like the contextual content of these videos, Please do like, share, and subscribe.